Okay, here's hoping it will work again. There we go, that should work now. He says. Bear with us, connecting. Hey!
Is that working? Hey, it's working!
Woo!
Awesome. Woo! Technology, eh?
Yeah, I really need to get my phone fixed. Okay, good evening, everybody. I hope you're all absolutely fantastic. Tonight, I am joined by the lovely Amy Thompson, who I met not too long ago when I did Project Inspire. And since then, have found out she's got a fantastic mentality, very much like, you know, the people who are sort of getting themselves into a good position in life, who are getting themselves set and, you know, ready to project themselves into the future and become something really special. So, I hope you enjoyed the introduction, Amy. I'll let you sort of...
Ah, that was lovely.
Yeah, I'll let you begin by telling everybody a little bit about yourself and sort of how you got to the sort of position you are today, where you are and that kind of thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Yeah, basically, I mean, if I had to sort of describe myself in a nutshell, I'd have to just start and be like, I'm just a normal woman. Like, I'm just like everyone else, but I'm just trying to be my best self. That ultimately is it, and just be my happiest self. And that mentality is just sort of fed into every facet of my life, from, you know, from work to my fitness to you know, my relationships. Just everything is about positivity and just putting your best foot forward. So yeah, like what I do is I'm a coach myself now. I help women be healthier, happier, and just be fulfilled and find their best selves. Because ultimately, a lot of what we see is, you know, these sort of templates of this is how you find happiness, this is how you find your best self. But if you're just trying to follow what someone else is doing, you're not going to get there. You have to listen to your own self and do what makes you happy and what works for you, because everyone's different, everyone's completely unique. So that's what's most important for me, and what I try to help other people find.
Awesome. No, and I can vouch for that, especially from having the conversation we had last night. I could very much see the kind of person you are and how you want to help. One thing that really struck me last night was when you mentioned about the transition from being from somebody who was doing the 9 to 5 and then having this awakening and this realization that, you know, what am I doing? You know, there's so much more I can do for myself, and you know, a different place I can be in the future. So sort of go through a little bit about that and how you got to that position. What made you sort of feel that, and what it made you feel after you realized it?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, my whole life was basically, you know, conditioned in what I needed to do. So as I mentioned yesterday, you know, I went to school, I went to university, I left university, I got the career job, I got the house, like I got, you know, like everything was falling into place. And yet one evening I was just sat at my dining room table and just thinking, like, is this it? Like, really? This is what this is it?
Yeah.
This is life? You know, I've a few more things to do and then I'm settled. Like, no, this doesn't seem right. And it just suddenly hit me that you know, I felt like I deserved more and I wanted to do more, and that, you know, we have one life, and if this was it, it really wasn't worth it. So that is when the shift happened. I started thinking, well, what would I want to do? If I could do it, I think, what would I do? Um, Unfortunately, a friend of mine, a really, really good friend of mine, told me about an opportunity to get into network marketing, which kind of led to this whole idea of like, we can set up our own lifestyle brand, let's do that. And so we were sort of doing that on the side. I was working in my sort of 9 to 5 job, and in the end I decided, you know what, I want to just fully commit to this dream I have of having my own business. And I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know what's going to happen, but I've got enough in place, enough sort of foundation in place to take the leap and just go, you know what, ciao, I'm leaving
Yeah.
the 9 to 5 job, and that's it. This is what I want to do. And if I it's almost like I knew at the time that unless I fully committed to it, I wouldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It had to be plan A and no plan B. And that kind of lit the fire underneath me. So it wasn't smooth sailing from there. Like, I've literally, that was 2 years ago, and it's only now that I'm really starting to see momentum, really starting to sort of see a change. But that's also because I need to do the work, the mindset. Like, someone once mentioned, like, there's a mindset that you have as an employee that's completely different to the one you have to have as an entrepreneur and as your own boss. And that's the journey in itself. So, you know, the whole thing has just been amazing. But, you know, ultimately I'm just following what makes sense to me, you know? So,
Yeah.
so
No,
it's been
absolutely. And you
interesting.
know, I love that. Like, it's amazing that you're sort of gone along down that road of realizing that realization there's more, and then the understanding that you have to change as a person when you want to change something in your life. I mean, I think that's one of the key things that people don't realize, is the reason why they're stuck in, not being able to leave their job and quit their job, is because they're not changing as people. I used to be a
Mhm.
prison officer the start of last year, and when I went to leave, the top guy, I can't remember what they call him, but the top guy who run the prison, he turned around to me and said, "Look, we can put you on sabbatical and things like this, like don't throw all your eggs and all this other stuff." But I knew I was never going back, and I
Yeah,
think it's that people have to, like exactly as you said, they have to commit to that plan A. That plan A is the only solution. Is the only option, rather, and
exactly.
that's one of the big key things that's got to really come from it. So definitely. So
Exactly.
what?
Yeah.
So I
Sorry,
love
go
the
ahead.
idea of this, the coaching thing you're doing. Now, just sort of go into that a little bit in more detail, because that's something that's a real big thing, and I can, I'm addicted to your energy. I think it's amazing. So I know you've actually got big things when it comes to that, and people should realise that. But what sort of gave you that idea that you wanted to show people exactly how you feel?
I mean, I think that I kind of fell into coaching, to be completely honest. Like, um, it, I think that once I sort of figured out what coaching was, I think that was it. It's like I didn't really understand what coaching was. Actually, as a workshop in the 9 to 5, I was sort of given this coaching, like presentation for like 2 hours,
Hmm.
and I was like, this is all a bit weird. But when I actually started looking into coaching and finding out what it was, I was like, I feel like that's sort of what I've been doing all my life with my friends and family. That just, it comes naturally. So
Yeah.
then I was like, right, let's take this to the next level and see how I could really help people. And it was also the work of trying to figure out, well, where where can I help and what can I really contribute, right? Because I don't want to just sort of go, right, well, that's what health coaching looks like, for example, so I'm just going to take that and do that myself. I had to really figure out what my genius zone was, i.e. what comes naturally to me and what feels like common sense to me but might look like a superpower to someone else, and sort of figure out what that was. So I did that work and I figured out, actually, you know what, it is this sort of this energy, this positivity, and putting that mindset and attitude in the sort of health and wellness and sort of happiness sphere. Because for me, that was the first big issue I tackled when it came to learning how to use my mindset to my advantage, right? Because I went through my own weight loss journey.
Hmm.
um, from the age of 15 to 20, I really, really struggled. It became sort of a bit of an obsession. Really so low self-esteem. I felt, chubbier than I knew I should be, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it was just a constant struggle. And then when I reached sort of 20, a shift happened. And it's funny because I can see now the unconscious shift that happened, and I started that paved the way to where I am now. But I had to go through that whole journey on my own and figure out how to change my mindset when it came to just my health and my habits. The binge eating, for example, that kind of stuff. Like, I understand, like, you know what, just one small change at a time. All I'm trying to do is be a better self and be healthier.
Hmm.
That's all. I'm not trying to lose weight, and that's, again, positivity shift. I wasn't trying to lose weight and get rid of something. I was trying to be better. And that attitude changed everything. And looking back now, it's like, okay, that was the moment where it all changed. And this whole journey went from losing weight to then, you know, like embracing self-love, to understanding how to use my mindset to my advantage, understanding the mind, and then basically taking all of that and going, right, I've cracked this for myself. And people who, you know, women who will resonate to who I am as a person will be able to sort of use everything that I've learned, and all the tools I can give them. Be like, look, it took me a heck of a long time to do it, but I've learned these lessons now. So here you go. Let's get you there much, much faster. And that's basically how I sort of ended up in this sort of particular area, which, you know, I'm very, very grateful to be in.
No, definitely. And that's a big thing when it comes to learning those lessons, as you said. I mean, I've heard, I can't remember exactly from the person I've heard it from, but they say that don't, you know, learn from others because you can't make all the mistakes yourself. And, you know, I'm pretty sure that's Inky Johnson, but that might be a quote from somebody else. Either way, if anybody hasn't seen Inky Johnson, check him out. He's absolutely mental. I've cried at videos every time I watch him. But, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, that's the beauty of following people who are putting themselves out there and showing what they have gone through, because then you can learn from their mistakes. And I mean, it's like, I think a lot of people try to expect that this vast change, this, you know, enormous self-shift is going to happen instantly, and it doesn't. It happens over a period of time, because it's almost like you're undoing what you've been learned by, I'm not going to go into it, but let's say systems like schools and media and these things. Like, I mean, we don't have to get deep into it, but let's face it, like, there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of things we have to conform with it, and they expect you to be a certain person. I mean, if you took the man I am now, put me in that classroom, and saw what my teachers would have to say about me, they'd all probably have their jaws hitting the floor, because they'd never expect this kind of individual to come from what they expected me to be. So, you know, I think
I've got the exact same story. Like,
yeah.
like I was, it's funny because I was actually told by my teachers, so I would have been 14, so like I would have been going into high school the following year. And I was filling out the forms to sort of say what, you know, what I wanted to do next. You know, I wanted to go general high school, so, you know, the lycée in France. And my teachers were saying, I think you're going to struggle. We think you should maybe go and be a hairdresser. Like, I think you'd enjoy that. I swear that's what I was told to do. So I was very chuffed when I was able to go back after graduating from university and going, there you go now. Who's laughing now? Who's the beautician now?
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because I don't sort of feel negatively towards them. Ultimately, like, that's, you know, that's the system they were in. But I do worry that so many people would have followed that advice. I was grateful for my brother, because my parents were like, yeah, we don't think that's right, but, you know, if that's what the teachers, you know, the sort of the people you're meant to respect in terms of guidance, are saying, you know, maybe that is what's going to be best for Amy. But my older brother, because he'd gone through it already, went, just fill out the form as you wanted, and just continue as normal. Just keep strong and carry on. And I did, and thank God I did, because, you know, here I am now. But it just goes to show, like, you can't judge a book by its cover, and we do sort of tend to sort of be too negative, and we are conditioned in certain ways that, you know, we're meant to do things one way, and it's just like, well, why is that? You know, just because society expects you to do it some way, why should you follow that route? Do you, like, and that's how I live, basically. It's be you, do you, live life by your own rules, because YOLO.
Yeah, like, I love it. I love that last line. I love it now. No, and you're absolutely right. And I think a real good little tip that people can take from this video today, you know, even if you're noticing, perhaps you've got brothers and sisters, perhaps you've got cousins and nieces and things like that, and, you know, people who you see sort of give those telltale signs where they say they want to do something, and then you see their head down, and it's like, well, what's wrong? It's like, well, this person said I can't do this and can't do that. Bring them up. Even if you're the same kind of person, like, bring them up, like, get them out of that, because that is, I mean, the only way I got myself out of it was through aggression for authority. You know, I hated it. So it was my own sort of, that was what got me out of it. And some people it's their parents, some people it's their peers and things like that. But we have a responsibility to make sure everyone's doing what they are destined to do on this planet, and you know, try our best to not let people get to the end and, you know, turn back and regret not doing what they truly wanted to do. Because let's face it, like, that's all we're here for. Money aside, you know, time, effort, whatever, if you're not doing what you love, then what is it all worth?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. And
but
it's funny because as you said, like, I think it is our, you know, it's our responsibility to help, you know, others, and you know, if they feel like they can't do something, it's to sort of push them up and lift everyone up. Because I mean, imagine if we all did that, the world we'd live in, you
absolutely.
know, it'd be a completely different place. So, you know, that's one thing. I think it's also important to, and this is something that's very close to my heart, and you know, part of what I believe is a purpose in life for me is to actually, for us to all learn how our minds work.
Hmm.
Because if you understand how your mind works, and you can use it to your advantage, and everything changes. Because that's the thing, that little voice in your head that sort of, you know, giving you those nagging thoughts and those worries and those fears and what if this happened and what if that, it's like, that hasn't happened. And literally, if you just broke down that thought process, you'd realize how ridiculous it is and how it doesn't hold together at all. um, and if you can just learn to do that, because the brain is like a muscle, you know, you can train it like you train, you know, to get a six pack, right? You could learn to use it better and more efficiently. And if you do that, then, you know, the world's your oyster. Literally, it is. And that's what I think we should all be sort of trying to do as well, is focus on, you know, not just our bodies, not just the physical aspect, but just understanding this bit. Because it's crazy that we don't. We
Hmm.
don't spend enough time thinking about it.
It's absolutely right. You're 100% right. I mean, I think that, well, if you think anybody that is successful, the biggest thing they've done is, as you say, they've learned to understand their mind, their thought process, what it's doing for them. You know, the mechanisms that allow you to live, the mechanisms that allow you to make choices and decisions, and the emotions that make you feel certain ways. Like, if it weren't for that, we wouldn't have this colourful existence that we have. But at the same time, if you let it go into chaos, then you also have a lack of order, and then you don't really know who you are at a certain point. So, but yeah, it's been really interesting tonight. I knew for a fact that you'd be a fantastic person to come live with. Come up with some brilliant
Thank
points.
you. Oh,
So,
thanks.
but
No, it's been really cool. And the thing is, like, I could just keep on going for hours. Like, you know, like, you and I
yeah,
could chat for hours if we wanted to. But I think it's probably best if we maybe, you know, cap it there, and I can come back anytime. If you want me to
yeah.
talk, I will be
No, by all
there.
means, because what I'm thinking is I'm gonna do this type of thing every Tuesday. So I'd be more than happy to have you back, and hopefully maybe one day I'll be on yours as well.
That is the plan.
But
So, no,
is
that'd be
there?
awesome. Love
Yeah, sorry. Is there any? Is it, for the people that have watched? Is it okay for them to perhaps, if you gave them any inspiration, or that you gave them any thoughts that they'd like to discuss with you, are they okay to drop you a message or anywhere that you?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Drop me a message. Add me on Facebook. More than happy to connect. Yeah, just I'm open and available to chat to anyone if you want to. More than happy to do that. So yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So thanks so much for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved this.
That's absolutely
And
fine.
yay.
And thank you everyone for joining as well. I hope everything was clear. Everyone here okay? Don't know if the comments were coming up. Maybe it's my phone. But yeah. So like I say again, thanks again, Amy, and see you guys later.
Bye, guys. Have a lovely